Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome to my early League 2 predictions for the 22-23 season. Like I say, it's early. We're in the middle of June and there's still 6 or 7 weeks till the season kicks off. But feel free to get your predictions down below. Take these predictions with a pinch of salt, like and subscribe, and let's get into this. So then guys, let me break down for you how this video is going to work. Once again, remember, it's very early predictions. These aren't my official predictions. These are early, and I'll do official predictions closer to the season kicking off. We've got my top 7 teams up here, the teams in the top half, the mid-table teams, the teams beating the drop, and my bottom 2. All of the teams are scattered across the bottom. Like I say, take it with a pinch of salt. Let's start with Colchester United. Colchester finished 15th last season, and the bookies have them to have a very similar season. I think it'd be great to see Colchester push on. I think Colchester are a club that have potential of getting to League 1, but it is getting competitive in League 2. There's a lot of favourites to go up this season, and Colchester aren't one of them. We'll have to wait and see what their business is through the summer. But based on what I saw last season and what the bookies are making out, I think Colchester could be in the sort of bottom half section. We'll wait and see. If they make some good business, I might bump them towards the top half. Next up are Stevenage. Now, I have to say fair play to Stevenage for staying up last season, because I didn't think they would when it got close between them, Oldham and Barrow. But you know what? Great character, great resolve. They stayed up. But going into this season, they are actually the bookies' favourites for relegation. And I know only 2 teams go down, but I look at the teams that have come up from the National League, and I just think they could be more competitive than the likes of Stevenage. Once again, we'll have to see their business, but I'm actually going to put them in my bottom 2. Next up are Gillingham, relegated from League 1. It wasn't a very pretty season last year. They did spend a good chunk of time in League 1, but they are finally back down in League 2. And Gillingham is a tricky one. I don't know what to expect. They only just went down in 21st place, so I think they'll be a strong team. I'm going to put them in my top half. They could make the top 7, you know, but for now, based on looking at their squad at the moment, I think they'll at least be a top half team, but I'll wait and see to see what business they do and what players they keep hold of through the summer. Next up, Salford City. Now, I do quite like Salford's players, and they are actually being made out as one of the favourites, in fact, the favourite to win the league. I'm going to put Salford in my top 7. I just can't look away from the fact how much favourites they are for this division. Honestly, they're being made out to be one of the really strong teams. And looking at what they did last season, Salford actually finished in 10th place. They flirted with the playoffs, but I think they'll go one better and be in that top 7, could make the top 3. We'll wait and see what business they do as well. Mansfield next. I think they've got to go in my top 7 as well. Did really well last season. You know, the battle for that top 7 was really intense. So you had to stand out and be a strong team to make it, and they did. And they got to the playoff final. Some really good performances in the playoff semi-finals against Northampton, but in the final they just imploded in that first half against Port Vale, and I think they will have another strong season. They could just bounce back next year. They're going to make the top 7 for me. We'll wait and see what their squad's like as well, because it is still quite early. Swindon Town are also going in my top 7. They're another team that made the playoffs and another team that missed out due to Port Vale. They were really close. I mean, you look at the potential for them going up last season. It came down to that penalty shootout in the Port Vale game, and it just didn't quite go their way. It's a cruel way to not get promoted on penalties, but Swindon are a decent club. Like I say, they finished in 6th last year. They've got some good players. They're being made out as one of the favourites for League 2 this season as well, so I'm at least putting them in my top 7. There's a very good argument that they could make the top 3 as well. Next up, Tranmere Rovers. Now, they were in that battle for the top 7. They didn't quite make it last year. They finished 9th, and that'll either energise them to make it this season, or it could have a little bit of a negative impact. I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky one, that. I suppose it could be a different bunch of players next season. I think Tranmere will do similar. I'm going to put them in the top half. I think they're guaranteed for me of being the top half team, but it's so competitive, like I say. Let me know if you'd put Tranmere in your top 7. Next up, Walsall. This is tricky. They finished 16th last year. I think I could see them climbing a couple of places. They're a pretty reasonably decent sized club for League 2 standard, and it'd be interesting to see if they can get back to League 1 soon. I'll say they might climb a couple of places. They finished 16th, maybe around 13th or 14th, so I'll put them mid-table for now. Walsall are a club worth keeping your eye on because they've got a couple of decent players. Next up, Crewe Alexandra, relegated from League 1 last season in bottom place. They finished 24th. It's tricky, isn't it? I remember Crewe being in League 2 over recent years, and they've actually been quite a strong team, so it's interesting to see if they can bounce back. You know, as a club, they know how to do it, but will it be a different bunch of players this time round? I think I'm actually going to put them around mid-table. They were just a very poor side last year. Not much positivity, nothing really to go off. They could completely change it up if they changed their squad through the summer. But I'm going to put Crewe as a mid-table team for now. I'll wait and see what they do before making my official predictions. Hartlepool United next. I like Hartlepool. Tricky. I think they will do similar to last season. Obviously, they came up through the National League playoffs and then they finished 17th. It wouldn't surprise me if they finished around 17th or 18th again. I'll put them as surviving, but you could say they could probably push towards mid-table this season. We'll wait and see with Hartlepool, but I like them as a club. Good fan base. Next up, Afc Wimbledon, a club I really like, actually. Good fans. Obviously, last season was a shame for them because they finished in 23rd place, and I think it's really important this first season that they try and bounce back. I think it'd be really tricky though. I mean, there's a lot of decent teams coming down and coming up, and the teams that didn't go up last season, they'll be hungry to go up this season. So it's tricky. They finished 23rd last year. I'm going to say on a similar lines to Crewe Alexandra, maybe mid-table until I see the business they do. Don't get me wrong, if there's any club I want to get promoted out of this division, Wimbledon are one of them for me that I really want to see go back up. But I'm going to put them around mid-table for now. Next up, Bradford City. They're going to go in my top 7. It's a tricky one with Bradford because they are one of the big clubs in this division. And I think last season I put them in my top 7 and it didn't happen. They finished 14th mid-table. I think they really do need to bounce back soon. They don't want to set into being a League 2 club. I mean, honestly, it's very dangerous. You know, the more time you spend in League 2, the possibility you could even fall down to the National League. I'd like to think that's not going to happen for Bradford. I'm going to say top 7. I think they've got a good chance next season. Once again, we have to wait and see what their business is like, but they're a decent club. Carlisle United next. Tricky one for me. They finished 20th last year. There were some good signs, but some not so good signs. Carlisle are a tricky team to put your finger on. The bookies think they'll improve on last season, and I do as well. Once again, we need to see what their squad looks like and how they seem to gel and how they perform in pre-season and at the start of the season. But based on what I'm seeing from what people are making out, I think Carlisle really could improve. I think I'm going to put them towards the top half. Let me know if you agree. Next up, Crawley Town. They finished in 12th place last year, so mid-table. Tricky one. Bookies have them to do sort of a little bit worse. They could finish in the bottom half according to the bookies, so I don't want to make out as if I'm just going off what the bookies are saying here, but maybe I'll go along those lines. Like I say, obviously finishing mid-table last year, they did pull out some decent results here and there, and they'll be looking up the table, their fans. They'll want their team to push towards a return to League 1 at some point, but I'm actually going to put them down the table a little bit. I don't think they'll go down, but I'm going to say they'll survive. But I think we have to wait and see with Crawley Town. Next up, Doncaster. I do like Doncaster. I was a bit gutted for them to go down last year because they're actually a decent club. And like I say, I remember them being in the Championship as well. They finished 22nd last year. They pulled out some decent results. I thought Gary McSheffrey was an interesting appointment. I think they will be a top half team, but like I say, it's so competitive that for now, I don't think I'll put them in my top 7, but they are a club that have won, they've won promotion from League 2 before, so I'll say top half. I think they will be quite strong. Next up, Grimsby Town. Fair play to Grimsby, by the way. How competitive was the National League last year? So competitive. And out of all those quality teams that made the playoffs, Grimsby stood out. And do you know what? Some of their performances at Notts County, at Wrexham, and in the final against Solihull, all coming from behind in every game. Unbelievable. I think Grimsby will do well. I like to think that a lot of the clubs that come up from the National League are hungry to stay up and they have that bounce from going up and there's that positivity. So I think Grimsby will finish mid-table, if not, maybe even top half. So I'll put them there for now. Next up, Harrogate. They finished 19th last year, which is pretty much in that surviving category. And until I see their business, I might say they'll do similar. Like I say, they could get worse, they could get better. I think if anything, they'll get better, but because I haven't seen all too much business so far, I'm going to put them in that surviving category again. To be honest, considering they came up a few years ago, they've really consolidated themselves as a League 2 team now, so fair play to Harrogate. Next up, Leyton Orient. I do like Leyton Orient. They're a club I've really enjoyed watching over recent years, especially when they came up from the National League and they've kind of pushed on. Last season was mid-table, 13th. If they had just been a bit more consistent, obviously they could have pushed towards the top 7. I'm going to say it. This is a bit of a wild card from me. Leyton Orient are going to make the top 7. I like Leyton Orient. I like some of their players. And once again, we do have to wait and see what their business is because it is still quite early. It's the 9th of June. But I'm going to say top 7 for Orient. Next up, Barrow. This is tricky. Barrow finished 22nd last year, and it's hard for people doing these predictions to say how much they're going to improve until we see all the business they do. But I'm going to put them in my bottom two. Them and Stevenage are the bookies' two favourites to get relegated. So, I'm sorry, Barrow, you're going in my bottom two. I would like to see them prove me wrong, because Barrow have been an interesting addition to the Football League. Next up, Newport County. They're going in my top half. They finished 11th last year. They were in the battle for the top 7 and they really fell away towards the end. I'm going to say they might improve a couple of places, maybe go up to 10th, 9th, 8th. But will they make the top 7? We'll wait and see. I'll put them in my top half for now. I do like Newport though. I'd like to see them get to League One. That'd be quite interesting. Northampton next. They finished 4th last year. Desperately unlucky not to go up automatically. And then desperately unlucky in the playoffs as well. Just didn't go right for them at all. And you can understand Northampton's fans' frustration. If they can keep some of their best players and also add some more quality, I really think they could be a force again next year. It's a big summer for Northampton because I just think after last season, it could go two ways. They could really push on and get the job done this season, or it could just be a complete fall off. I'm going to say Northampton will make the top 7 again. I like them. I like what they did. I watched a few of their performances last season, and I'd like to think they should have a good chance of getting back to League One next season. Next up, Rochdale. They actually finished 18th last year. Not the best season considering they'd come down from League One, but it's tricky, isn't it? I suppose it's quite a competitive division. You can't take anything for granted. I'm going to put Rochdale in that surviving category, so probably finishing around the similar position. I'm interested to see their business, because I think Rochdale are actually a club that are maybe even underrated and could surprise a few people. But for now, based on what I've seen last season and what the bookies are saying, I think they could do similar to last season. Let me know if you agree. Stockport County next, and this is a very interesting one. They've just come up. I'm going to say they make the top 7. Really, really strong team, Stockport County. Really impressed me. Honestly, the National League was probably the strongest it's ever been for me last year. You had Wrexham, you had Solihull Moors, you had Grimsby and Chesterfield, and Stockport stood out amongst all of them, and they got the job done, winning the title. And I'm going to say they make the top 7. I think it'd be brilliant to see Stockport get back-to-back promotions. Can you imagine them in League One? Good fan base, good club. I think they're going in the right direction. So I'm going to say top 7 for them. Last up, Sutton United. They finished 8th last year, so just missing out on the playoffs. I think they could finish around mid-table this year. Sutton's a tricky one. Based on last season, there's a real case for them to maybe make the top 7, but I'll put them mid-table for now. I haven't seen too much business from them just yet. I'll wait for all the business to be done before I do my official predictions. That wraps up today's video, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree. It's a bit of fun. It's very early. It's quite tricky to say which clubs are going where, but make sure to like and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.